Mutlomi was getting old, and he had received many wounds in battle, fighting to protect his people against invaders. One day, Mutlomi was in his house when somebody knocked on the door frame of the house. And Mutlomi asked the intruder to come in. And into their hut there came a frightening being, a being whose face was as white as the face of death, a being which wore a hood over its head, a being with unnaturally wide shoulders, a being who wore a long robe of sable antelope skin. This being squatted near the entrance of the hut in which Mutlomi was. And the being told Mutlomi that he was to take one of his golden earrings, the earrings of kingship, and go on foot for a long distance to find a young man known as Dipoko, and to give him this earring. But what are you saying, great one? Said Mutlomi, utterly terrified by this unearthly being. You are saying that I, Mutlomi, must go and find this boy and make him my successor? And the being said, yes, we, your forefathers, order you to do this. Mutlomi was thunderstruck. He tried to argue, because Mutlomi had sons whom he was hoping would succeed him after death. Now he was now being told to go and seek out a strange young man and make him future king of the Basotho people. And as Mutlomi tried to speak, the terrible tall being stood up in the hut and threw a handful of black powder on into the fireplace. There was a terrible flash, a burst of white smoke, and as Mutlomi shielded his eyes, the being left the hut. On the following day, Mutlomi told his people this in a council meeting, and the people advised Mutlomi to obey. You are the king, Mutlomi. You have been our king for a long time. You are blameless and you are as brave as a lion. But against the gods, what can you do? And thus it was that King Mutlomi was given a tame ox by his people, and he rode on the back of this ox, accompanied by 2 of his best warriors, and he went out to seek this strange boy whom he had been ordered to make future king of the Basothos. He found the boy with his companions high up on a mountain. The boy was a bandit. He lived by stealing cattle from rich men. He was a typical black Robin Hood. And Muhlomi greeted this boy, Dipoko, and he pinned his golden earring to Dipoko's right ear and said, I am commanded by the spirits of my forefathers to appoint you, Dipoko, future king of the Basotho people. I am told that you are going to make this nation great. I am told that you are going to protect it. I, Muhlomi, the armed one, have spoken. Muhlomi left Dipoko, and Muhlomi sickened and died some time later. And the man named Dipoko, a young man, a cattle-stealing bandit, became known as King Mushweshwe, the first of the Basotho people. As the so-called God had spoken, it so did happen. Mushweshwe, who had now discarded the name of Dipoko, which means disappointment, and assumed the name Mushweshwe, which means the barber or the beard shaver. Mushweshwe himself started seeing visions, and he started obeying the instructions of these visions that he should build a great nation out of the Basotho nation. He collected together all the fugitives who had fled from the wars in the Cape. He collected together all the refugees who had fled from the wars by Shaka in Natal. And he molded them into the nation known as the Basotho nation, which today inhabits the land called Lesotho. But wait, there is more to the story of Mushweshwe. Mushweshwe was under attack by the Afrikaners. And one day he received another vision, a vision that told him that if his people were to be saved, he had to place himself and his people under the protection of Queen Victoria. And he did just that. When I was a child, when I was a young scholar, the land today known as Lesotho was known as the Basotho Land Protectorate. Here was a king actually destroying his sovereignty as a ruler. Mushweshwe enjoyed the loyalty of his people. Mushweshwe was greatly loved by the nation that he had formed.